Assalamu alaikum. Waleed Abbasi was an attorney, a Muslim, and a community activist here in New York City. He's somebody that immediately upon my arrival back to the city a few years ago, embraced me. And he showed me a level of class, warmth, and dignity that you can't just manufacture or make up. I was so lucky and grateful that this person who was a few years younger than me in my same profession would make this impact on me, would remind me of how we could be the best versions of ourselves and really spread our wings at the same time. When he passed away, may God have mercy on his soul, I realized that I had never in my life experienced personally the loss of somebody I considered dear to me. And it began a process of reckoning with myself about how I would make an impression on the community that I live in here in New York City. There is no easy way to say this, but of all the attorneys that I've met, and there are many, nobody made me believe that when push came to shove and there was an insurmountable issue, an issue in our community, I could call on that person, I could dump all of my issues, and I could know that this person had the genuine and sincere interest of me above any and all other things. When I went to this man's funeral, when I saw the thousands and thousands of people who left comments or did acts of service in his memory, I realized that I too could do that, but I didn't know how. Until earlier this Ramadan, when I had the opportunity, along with my friend Omar Jamal, to co-sponsor an Asiyah Center event. Now, I had an exchange with the organizers of that event. We talked about sponsorship. We talked about how much I would contribute for the benefit of the event and the organization. And I caught myself doing what millions of us do when it comes to charity. I was counting the pennies and the dollars and the cents, and I was measuring it in my mind as if I could control what was the right number to give. It got me thinking the night before the event, if I had handled that correctly, if my heart and my mind were actually aligned, or if I was just telling myself that because I was doing good works. The night before the event, I was in prayer, and I kept thinking about Waleed. I kept thinking about the fact that I would call him right now. I would step out and I would text him and I would ask him, hey, what do you think I should do in this exchange? And I know I would have trusted that advice because I trusted the heart of the person who I was seeking the advice from. And then that's when I felt it, that I had to do something different. I had to marry my practice as an employment lawyer, as a litigator, like Waleed was, to the causes that Waleed and the people like Waleed, those luminaries in our communities, dedicate themselves to. And when I found that, I knew that it was time to do something. Over the next day, and as I approached the event, it came so simply. Why not we announce as a law firm that we will hold a memorial space for Waleed Abbasi's memory? Why not we dedicate all of the attorney's fees, those big percentages that people talk about when it comes to paying a contingency-based lawyer, meaning these lawyers don't get paid unless they win, right? But in reality, it is not us who controls the outcome. It is in this world, it's the practical reality of two adverse parties going at it and reaching a resolution, either in trial in front of a jury, which I am more than willing to go and do, or in mediation or in settlement. But regardless, that adverse party situation is what creates those results. And I truly believe those results are not in my hands, but in the hands of the one and only Supreme, Lord of the man who I'm talking to you about today, Lord of the person who inspired me to do this, Lord of the person who will deliver the benefits of what I'm announcing here today. What if the Workers' Advocate Law Group Memorial Fund in the name of Waleed Abbasi donated all attorney's fees and donated all of the hard money costs that the law firm incurs in order to win a case in the employment space that we specialize and focus on to a nonprofit organization that he would have supported here in New York City for our community today. You see, I didn't know when I walked into the event and approached Dania, the leader of Asiyah Center, that this would be something that Waleed had anything to do with. I didn't know the extent of his engagements, public, private, and in secret. But when I told her about my idea, when I told her what I intended to announce, she told me something that till today, a couple weeks later, raises the hair on the back of my neck. She told me that he was an early donor and supporter of the Asiyah Center. And she told me something else. She told me that even though she wasn't close friends with Waleed, that she didn't know him personally, and that his impact was so deep on her that she dedicated an Umrah in his memory. You see, the convergence of souls is not something that we, with all of the material buildings and sciences and finance systems, can concoct or force to come together. These are ethereal things that we have no control over. And I have no control over how a single case that we do completely for the benefit of the Asiyah Center will result. It is my way of taking my hands off of the steering wheel, as many of us should probably learn to do when it comes to donating and supporting the social service causes that exist in New York City and throughout the United States and throughout the world. When we begin to take this material world and count the dollars and pennies that we pay to causes that are eternal, that are existing beyond what we can see here, then we start to align ourselves with an experience that we cannot predict what the outcome will be. So today, Workers Advocate Law Group, along with the acceptance, approval, endorsement of Waleed's mother and his surviving brother, Sharif, and his father, and in the memory also of his sister, Nargis, who passed away 65 days before Waleed. It is my honor, my privilege as an attorney to lift up the memory of another attorney who inspired me and left an impression upon me to create the Waleed Abbasi Memorial Retainer Agreement at Workers Advocate Law Group. And it's simple. Anybody who approaches my law firm and mentions Waleed Abbasi will be considered for representation with a retainer agreement that has a unique clause added to it. It says as follows: all proceeds for attorney will be dedicated to this cause in full, including any costs expended on behalf of the client to get that result. I can't begin to explain to you how happy I am to have arrived at this moment and how obvious it feels now to have done something like this. I hope that of all of the attorneys out there who are watching this video, or startup founders, or business owners, you can find a way to remove the dollar and penny counting from your intention to support social services for our community members here in the city and throughout the country and the world. Because a model that allows these social service organizations to benefit from the largesse of our professions, of our degrees, of our Google reviews, of our ability to command new work for the benefit of work that is eternal. And without us doing the money crunching in our head, I think that's a model that will unlock the benefits that our community needs today and has needed for decades. You see, our community has been amazing at establishing the foundations of buildings where people gather to pray. We've seen it across the country. Some humble office spaces where people gather on Fridays only, and some massive construction projects costing tens of millions of dollars. But when it comes to something like the Asiyah Center's work, which is protecting the interests of women and children in domestic violence circumstances in New York City and in New Jersey, there's just not enough money for the scale of the issues that that organization faces on a daily basis. And take it from somebody who works as an employment lawyer, meaning I am a business owner, I used to represent companies, and I have exclusively represented people, individuals, for the last 5 or 6 years now. I know how the system works. If you need to fundraise and manage and somehow focus on the goals of serving these communities that are underserved, you are at a loss. But if you can secure funding without bothering so much of your mental space or your mental energy and focus all of that attention on how to better serve underserved communities, you're going to get a massive, massive boom to just how efficient, how meaningful, and how powerful change can occur in our communities. I am not here to preach to you. I'm here to offer my practical solution to how I can calm my soul when I think of what would Waleed do. So let's continue to do that. In 2026 and in every year, God willing, to come that I have life. And hopefully that you and anybody you shared this video or this idea with will have life. Because what we do today, the courage we have today to create new systems to support our community will have a resounding impact for generations, just like I hope Waleed's memory will as well.